and welcome to the Digital CxO podcast. I'm Amanda Razani, and with me today, I'm excited to have the CPO of StorMagic, Bruce Kornfeld. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Amanda.
Happy to have you on our show. Can you share a little bit about StorMagic? What services do you provide over there?
Yeah, so at StorMagic, like you said, I'm the Chief Product Officer, which means I'm responsible for product management and planning and engineering, all the technical things at the company. What StorMagic does is we've been around for almost 20 years now. It's been about 19 years. And we started out with developing storage software, so virtualized storage software that customers use with VMware or with Hyper-V, but it's virtual storage that goes with your virtual server environment. And that's been our bread and butter for many, many years. In the last year, we've entered the hypervisor market itself, the server virtualization market. So now we also provide our own hypervisor for those customers that are looking to move off of VMware onto a lower cost, easier to use platform. But I'm sure we can talk more about that later. But that's what we do. And we're very focused on mission critical environments. All of our customers are interested. They need to keep their sites up and running 24/7. So that's a really important factor that we address.
Yeah, absolutely. So great. Our topic for today is what's next this year in 2025 for IT infrastructure technology. There was a lot of big technologies we're focused on and hearing about this year. So, as far as edge computing goes, what are some of those key issues and concerns or trends that you're seeing when it comes to edge computing this year?
Yeah, we see a lot of this because what we do is we focus our development is for small. That's what we do for small sites, edge computing, remote sites. So we don't design for the data center or the cloud because a lot of vendors in this space take their data center solutions and try to jam them into edge computing environments. And that usually doesn't work because there's too much stuff, too many features, too expensive, too hard. So we're very focused on edge. I have this conversation all the time. And what we're seeing is there's a huge movement here for companies and organizations to start thinking more seriously about how do I build the right infrastructure at my smaller sites, at my remote sites, at my edge sites. And I think one of the things that's happening in the market has to do with cloud computing, and that over the last 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is, cloud has taken off, and it's used by everybody for good reason. But I think what's happening now is the economy is moving so much faster than it did 10 years ago or even 2 years ago that applications and data need to be run at local sites. And sometimes the cloud just doesn't serve those needs well. The cloud can be slow. It can be very expensive. And it can be unreliable. The internet does go down once in a while, as we've seen in the news. Cloud services can go down, and some or all of our customers can't afford downtime at their edge sites. So we're seeing a lot of movement of customers being more serious and more planful about what am I going to do for infrastructure at the edge. And that, I'm not going to call it cloud migration because it may be some of it is, but I've got a new application. I need to run it. Should I run it in the cloud or should I run it on-prem? And we're seeing a lot more on-prem edge computing growth in the last few years. And all the predictions are that it's just going to keep growing.
Yes, and would I be correct that the smaller companies, they're working with maybe less resources, maybe less finances as well? So this would be helpful.
Yeah, 100%. It's either small companies, let's say they're SMBs, they're small businesses, but also a lot of customers that we work with, they're large enterprise customers that have, let's say, thousands of sites, but they have the same problems, which is how do you afford to deploy IT infrastructure at 1,000 sites? You got to keep the cost down, just like an SMB needs to. It's got to be simple. We can't have IT people out at every site. So the needs and challenges for large enterprise, small site, edge sites is the same for SMBs. So yeah, budgets are tight, resources are tight, space also, like we can't have big fat servers everywhere. You got to look at smaller form factor servers. So that drives a lot of decision making for our customers.
So for business leaders or companies that are looking more towards the edge computing solutions, what tips do you have for them as far as getting started?
Yeah, so listen, I will just say that I'm glad that I am not a CIO or a director of IT because you all have very hard jobs because there's 100 different ways of solving technical problems, right? To deliver what the business needs. One thing that we see is around cost. It's coming up more and more, and in recent times, there's been this acquisition. Broadcom acquired VMware, and most of the world uses VMware for virtualizing their server hardware, and it's become very, very expensive. So to your point, I think one of the things that we're hearing a lot about is that chatter about what do I do? How do I not pay Broadcom the 3x, 5x, 10x cost that they're asking me to pay? What do I do instead? So investigating alternative approaches to VMware is a big one. Of course, we would love for you to talk to StorMagic. We have one of those, which is our SVHCI product, which incorporates an open source hypervisor called KVM. It's built around all of our tools that we've been building for the last 15 years. So it's very stable and very reliable, but it's significantly less cost than going and staying with VMware. So there's an area that I would say a lot of our customers are digging into these days is what do I do about changing my virtualization strategy?
I feel like I'm hearing a lot about open source solutions and more businesses leaning toward that open source. And you maybe said a little bit about it, but what do you think are the reasons why we're hearing more about the open source?
Yeah, I think it's because for right or for wrong, most of the industry got sucked up into the VMware wave for good reason. Great product. It worked amazingly for all these years. We're talking like decades, 20 years. So there are engineers there at customer sites that they grew up on VMware. They went to school and they learned VMware. It's everywhere. And they got acquired. And Broadcom changed the licensing, they changed the packaging, they changed the pricing. And I think a lot of customers are like, how do I not have that happen again? I can't, like, I don't want to go through this. It's painful. They don't want to go through this again. And I think open source is a potential avenue to prevent that because now everything's open. You can get software for free from the community. The hard part is, as IT teams look into it, doing open source yourself is very difficult because you need a different level of engineering skill set and programming skill set to make it all work and build it. It can be complicated. So it's free, but it's not easy. So a lot of our customers are looking for that hybrid of talking to companies like us where we're using open source, but we're making it easier for them. We're packaging it into one install package. They don't have to worry about downloading 100 different things. We've made the installation simple. It's a seamless one pack. You get your storage, you get your virtualization for servers and network. It all comes together, easy to use. So it's still open source, but it's not as hard as the traditional go download everything yourself from the community. But I think that's, to answer your question, I think that's why is because they got burned by Broadcom and they don't want to go there again.
Got it. So you talked about skill set. And so I'm curious, what's been the main focus these last 2 years is AI. And does artificial intelligence help when it comes to that skill set? Where does it play a role?
Yeah, so there's a lot about AI with edge computing. And I think, to answer your specific question about skill set, I do think that AI, ChatGPT, or any of the others that are out there is starting to help individuals with doing their jobs. It's getting there. But I don't think that's the big driver of AI in the edge world. I think the big driver is that, like I said earlier, the economy around the world is moving so much faster than it has in the past that at the edge is where data is created. That's where, whether you're a manufacturing plant and you've got robots doing things, you need to track all that data, or you're a convenience store down the block selling soda and gasoline. No matter what it is, that data is being created, and to do a better job for a company, they need to analyze it fast. It needs to happen in real time. There really is no longer the ability to wait. Like, okay, let's collect the data from Tuesday at 2 a.m. Let's upload it to the cloud. Let's go run this through our models, and let's go return an answer to the store manager for the next day. That's not even fast enough anymore in some cases. So we're seeing a huge movement to add another driver of edge computing is that AI is they want to be able to make decisions fast for their business in real time, and they just can't wait for the cloud. So yeah, AI is real. Every day and every week that comes by, there's so many more examples of how it's impacting the world, and it's true, and it is happening, and edge computing is really starting to get there. I think data center was first for AI, but now it's absolutely making its way to edge, which is driving the growth, that's driving more problems, that's making it harder for IT teams. So listen, if it was easy, they wouldn't need any of us, right? So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, but for sure, AI is definitely able to just sift through data so much faster and pull those analytics.
100%. Yeah. I mean, think about like the old days of, I know that, Walmart back in the day was a pioneer of analyzing data and they had these massive databases, but it would take days or weeks to get answers, right? And now the idea is, I mean, everyone's got their own cell phone and you can go on ChatGPT and you can get answers to things so fast that you wouldn't have thought that you can get without hunting around 100 different websites. Same thing's happening in business at the edge is they need to get those answers faster and cull through all of their data. So it's exciting times for the industry. I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg, but it definitely has impact on what IT teams need to do for edge computing.
Are there any other key technologies or newer technologies that you have in your sights this year?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, just to keep going on that AI thread, we are getting a lot of feedback from our customers that in order to do AI correctly, I'll say, is that they need faster processing at edge sites. And there's a lot of different ways of doing it. But if you want to keep your data local, the CPUs that you've purchased and installed from Intel and AMD, they're good, they're fast, but they're not enough. So what we keep hearing is that there's a technology, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term, a GPU, pretty common term these days, but that's the next evolution of edge computing is GPUs can be expensive, but there's all sorts of companies out there, and it's not just NVIDIA anymore. There's a lot of competition of how do you find a edge computing priced GPU to run in 1,000 stores without doubling your cost of your server, right? So there's a technology area that we're looking into is how do we deliver that GPU technology at the edge to enable this fast decision making for AI. So there's an area that's pretty exciting.
So a while back, we were hearing all about chip shortages. Is that still an issue, or are we still having a struggle with a shortage of these GPUs? And how will we be able to provide everyone with enough of these?
Yeah, so that had been a problem, chip shortages. From what we see, that's no longer driving the economy or driving pricing or driving issues in IT. That's kind of subsided. But I will say, in terms of predictions, this is a difficult one, but it is timely. Um, Without getting too political, which I won't, but the facts are tariffs are being talked about around the globe on a daily basis. We can't open up any news site without hearing some new proposed tariff or what China's going to do in response to the US. There's a lot of unknowns here. So there could be some impacts as far as predictions go. I mean, no one knows what's going to happen, but there's definitely an area here about what could happen to the IT world in the US and other countries. But since we're in the United States, we can talk about us for a second, is like, will there be upward pressure on costs from the server manufacturers that are still dependent on chips from overseas and components from overseas? So will server prices start to go up? It is very likely that that's going to happen. We started to see a little bit of this happening already. A couple of orders that we heard about from customers where the server price went up. Now, we're a software company, so we don't get impacted by that. However, customers that are looking to build solutions need to buy hardware, they need to buy software. And if, back to my other point about VMware and finding lower cost options, if you can save money by not using VMware and finding alternative hypervisors, you can save some budget in case you have to spend a little bit more on your server hardware. The other thing I'll say, if I'm allowed to say something positive about my company, another area that we get positive feedback from customers is that we do not require new servers. So our software can run on your existing infrastructure. And a lot of customers love that. Like, because if they're trying to get rid of VMware, a lot of alternatives say, great, we got a lower cost software stack, but you need new servers. In our world, we say, leave your servers, leave your storage, just rip and replace VMware and put in SVHCI. So that's another way to avoid this tariff situation and potential price increases on hardware is go find yourself software solutions that deliver what you need, but also keep your overall budget flat.
So while we're still talking about these newer technologies, what about quantum computing? Because we have heard a little bit more in the news lately about quantum computing. Where are we at with that? Is it going to be anything useful this year, or are we still a ways out?
Yeah, I would say from what I can see in the industry, we hear a lot about quantum. There's a lot of invention still going on in quantum computing. There are examples of where they are hundreds or thousands times faster than a traditional x86 CPU, if you will. So it is happening. It is real. We just don't see it productized, ready for commercial use in 2025. It's still going to be that thing where I don't know if it's 2026 or 27, but it's certainly not going to be a commercially viable option for our customers in 2025. It's funny, just a few years ago, we would talk about, next year is going to be the year of edge computing. Edge computing's coming. Edge computing's coming. Well, edge computing's here. I think quantum's in that step of it's coming. Nobody knows when, but it looks like it's not going to impact customers for commercial use in this calendar year.
Okay. Well, if there was one key takeaway you could leave our audience with today, what would that be?
Yeah, I would just say, like I said earlier, I think IT teams have really hard jobs always, but even now, because I think with what Broadcom's done, it's caused a lot of churn in the industry, a lot of chaos, and a lot of uncertainty. So I would say, to the IT folks out there trying to figure out what to do, there are new ways and modern ways of deploying applications, managing applications, storing data at your edge locations. It doesn't have to be the tried and true VMware anymore. There's a lot of other solutions out there, alternative hypervisors, alternative storage approaches. And just know that if you dig into it, you're going to quickly see the hardware costs are reasonable now, super, super high performance and reasonable. So you can afford to deploy hardware at every edge site. Just be careful on the software side. It's going to take some research, but there's a lot of tools out there for you to go figure it out.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your insights with us today.
Thanks, Amanda. It's great to be here. It's great to meet you.
Great to meet you as well. And thanks to our audience. Stay tuned. There's more.